Good afternoon, Stuart. How are you doing?
Hi, Roy. Really well, thank you.
Good stuff. I'm glad to meet you for the first time. And of course, you're new into post at Lumo. And going to be taken to the stage, or new into the post as managing director at Lumo, rather. And you're going to be taken to the stage at TransCityRail Scotland. And I just wanted to jump in, have a brief conversation with you about what are the key themes and messages you'll be focusing on at the conference.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I think obviously starting in this role recently, taking over as the managing director for First Rail's open access businesses, which includes Lumo, at a really exciting time because Lumo is expanding. And so what I'm really going to be trying to focus on is actually what does that mean? And so we have a new service we're about to launch in 2026, the first half of 2026, which will connect Stirling to London via the West Coast, calling into a number of communities through central Scotland. So yeah, really, really excited to really talk about that and what it means.
So that's going to create a lot of opportunities, not just for the supply chain, but also for the local economies along that route. Tell us a little bit more about that.
No, absolutely, and for the first time, it's connecting some communities into the south of the border down to London, but also connecting communities into Stirling with a direct service for the first time. So the route will come out of Stirling down to Larbert, and then across to Greenfields for Cumbernauld, and then down to Whifflet for Coatbridge, Motherwell, Lockerbie, and then head further south. So I think it'll really bring about new opportunities and also provide good value fares because actually that's ultimately the Lumo USP is being able to get people to travel, but at a good value price.
Yeah, I agree. I think the open access model is a really interesting model, and what Lumo have clearly done and been successful at is giving access to a lot of passengers, to a lot of people in a lot of areas, to train services that wouldn't ordinarily have existed, I think.
No, absolutely, and I think what we've seen on the East Coast, and Lumo's now coming up to its fourth birthday, we've really seen that model mature, and we've really seen not just Edinburgh London traffic increase, but actually Edinburgh Newcastle. We've seen a lot footfall in Edinburgh Newcastle recently.
Wow, yeah. So you just think about the long haul, really, don't you? I think on the day to day, but yeah, it's those shorter journeys where you get the real value and economic impact in the less fortunate areas of the country, I think.
No, it's where you're being able to connect those communities. And one of our other excitement expansions is that actually we're now taking Lumo beyond Edinburgh. We're going to connect it into Glasgow from December 2025, and that will give Glasgow and Newcastle that direct connectivity, which we when we talk to customers, that's been one of the big things which has been missing in recent times is having a good Glasgow Newcastle link.
Yeah. So Trans-City Rail is all about engaging the supply chain, giving operators, Transport Scotland and Network Rail access to a breadth of suppliers to help them work in collaboration, in partnership, and ultimately deliver these passenger services at great value. What's the key messages you're looking for the supply chain to take away in order to be able to work with you guys in the future?
Well, I think from us, it's about scalability because our organisation is Lumo is quite small, it's quite lean, but as we're looking to expand, whether it's to go to extending the route or going on to new routes as we are with Stirling to London, I think it's about well how can we scale our business in a way which is proportionate, but also ensuring that it's cost efficient, and I think that's probably going to be a theme right through a Network Rail and government is how can we deliver the railway in the most efficient way? So it's really trying to lean into where is innovation today, and how can we really take that on board?
Yeah, and that leads nicely into the next question. When we look at costs and we look at budgets, Scotland's got a big plan, 4.8 billion in investment. How does that help shape the future of operators like you?
Well, I think the most important thing for an operator and to our customers is essentially reliability. And the expectation is that that investment is really going to be fundamental, ensuring that Scotland has a performing railway. And we hear it loud and clear. Reliability is absolutely key to building customer sentiment, and ultimately, what we're trying to do is is give rail the best possible chance of success in modal shift. And we know there's a huge market to go after. We know that for a lot of the audience and for people is that actually car is a natural choice to make the journey. So what we need to be able to do with rail is to knock down the barriers, and make it as appealing as possible for future customers.
So then, where does your innovation priorities lie then as an operator? Where do you see the biggest opportunity for innovation, which is going to help you meet all of those objectives for the passenger?
Well, I think it's coming back to how it's that sort of cross collaboration, but it's also where we know funding is tight, right? So we know that there isn't necessarily money for big infrastructure schemes. So it's really leaning into where technology has got to and how we can really uh, draw upon that. So, for example, we have new modern Hitachi trains, which have some really good kit on board,
Yeah,
and it's trying to actually lean into understanding how that kit works with regards to power supply, how it draws down, how it can be really efficient in the electricity it draws,
yeah,
because we know there's challenges around the power supply on the network, and so actually it's whilst obviously we want to ensure that the network has the best possible power supply possible. Actually, some of these constraints we believe can be managed through the efficiencies of this new trains and how we can use them smarter.
yeah. And where do you see technology as an operator and in the management, not of the power and the usage of that? Because obviously technology doesn't create power, but it can help us be more efficient with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's also about monitoring, right? And it's taking that data, taking real-time data, and actually then being able to use it to understand, okay, actually, a lot of our I guess modeling's been built on sort of industry averages over the years, but actually as we transition to a newer fleet, there's some material benefits in there. And I think actually just understanding a bit more beneath the data about what's actually happening is imperative.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Every conversation I have these days seems to have data into the conversation, but it gives us so much insight. It saves us so much time, and data doesn't tell lies. Not that people in the industry do tell lies, but it's black or it's white, and it's as
No, no,
simple as
I mean exactly, and I think as every day goes past, we get more and more data, right? And so then actually, how do you how do you take that data? How do you use that data? How do you distill that data and actually um, understand it and use it going forward? So I think we've always been really good at collecting data. I think actually what we need to be able to do is get the right tools to actually understand what it's meaning, and actually using it to, as you say, be the evidence to actually lean upon.
yeah. And so are you guys doing much work with GBRX, or do you plan to do with much work with GBRX in the future? Because they're a real vanguard in what they want to do with technology in rail and quantum engineering, AI, and of course that all links into data.
No, absolutely. So we sit outside of the sort of GBR framework, as it were, but we're trying to make sure that we're collaborative as possible, and we sync into the rail delivery group to ensure that our voice is also heard, but also that we can share learnings as well. Because there's all sorts of learnings which we as an industry need to be sharing between each other, because actually there's it's all about ultimately it's about getting the customer
Yeah,
from
yeah.
A to B. Certainly, our mindset and everything we do, we try to place the customer at the center, and so anything which we do, which we think can help improve that customer experience and that customer journey, we really try to maximize.
And we talked about the investment plan for Scotland. What do you see as being the most exciting opportunity for Lumo within that investment plan over the next 5 years?
Well, I think what's really exciting about what's happened with Scotland Railways and and will continue. It's a journey that I've been on with the getting towards net zero. And I think that's, the Lumo brand is very much focused on carbon saving. We've launched on the East Coast with electric trains. Unfortunately, we'll be starting our Stirling service with diesel trains, but we have a plan to migrate later on once we're established. But it's very much the exciting thing for me and for Lumo is very much how Network Rail have really ambitious plans in Scotland to reach net zero.
Super. And then finally, then let's personal touch for the conversation. What inspired you to work in the rail sector?
Yeah, so I've always been about I've always liked the sort of long-term benefits that major infrastructure projects can bring, and obviously rail being a component of major infrastructure, and so it's all around to me about how countries and communities can grow, and then the wider economic benefits from major infrastructure investments. So some of the early projects I was involved with were it was Crossrail in the south across London, and that just got me gripped at a very early stage, and I've since gone on to do some fairly interesting stuff with HS2 and then stuff in beyond the UK. But no, for me, it's about the wider piece about actually it isn't just about the journey, but it's all the wider benefits that those journeys bring.
Interesting, you use the word it gripped you from an early age, from an early part of your career, and I think that's what everybody says about the rail industry. It grips them. It's a family. It's very collaborative. It's very friendly, and once you're in, it appears it's very difficult to get out. Not that many people want to.
Well, no, absolutely, and I think you're right. It's whilst it's a large injury, it isn't at the same time, because actually people do stay in touch, and it's about the people, and it's a genuine will for people to want to bring change, right, and for better. And so now that's what's really, as I said, gripped me from early on, was actually the constant strive to improve things. And obviously there are challenges, right? And we recognize that, but ultimately it's about getting people moving.
Yeah, 100%. Stuart, thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing your full presentation at TransCityRail Scotland next month.
Brilliant. Thanks, Roy.
Take care.